started. Uh, First of all, welcome everyone. I'm Hari Vasudev. I head up the Yahoo R&D Center in Bangalore, and I'm also the product lead for Yahoo Answers and Yahoo Groups. I would like to welcome all of you to the 4th edition of the Yahoo Summer School, organized by Yahoo Labs in partnership with the Indian Institute of Science. The focus at this year's school is going to be on semantic search, and I can guarantee you that you're really going to have a wonderful time here this week, learning all about this really interesting topic. This hall is filled with some of the brightest minds in the industry, and it's a strong testament to the success of Yahoo's efforts in creating an innovation ecosystem that stimulates the exchange of ideas between product companies like ours and academia. Yahoo Summer School has traditionally been a forum not just for intensive learning, but it's also a place where product engineers and researchers come together to exchange ideas and learn from each other. And they often spend time in the breaks and during the sessions discussing the latest technical challenges in the field that spurs innovation. At Yahoo, we have always believed that open and collaborative research between scientists and researchers and product engineers is the best way to build the next generation of the web. Through strategic partnerships with some of India's premier institutions, like the Indian Institute of Science, what we have done is we have developed entry-level talent and engaged in joint research programs that not only help shape the next generation of research in the technology and internet domain, but also build products that are loved by millions of customers all over the world. Internally as well, Yahoo Labs is very sharply focused on sciences and research and works in very close partnership with our product groups. We are aligning our labs and product organizations very tightly together so as to ensure that science is applied more profoundly in each and every one of our products. And we do this by creating deeper relationships and processes between the labs and the products organizations. For instance, a majority of the work done by Yahoo Labs in Bangalore is done in direct partnership with our product and engineering teams that helps drive new product innovation and new product direction and thinking. And that often leads to really deep and meaningful and relevant and highly personal experiences for our users. And the way we do this, whether it is leadership through in-product experimentation, whether it is to optimize existing deployments, or whether it is to drive new product directions and architecture, there is a very, very tight and aligned and focused effort between Yahoo Labs and our product groups. If you have ever visited the Yahoo homepage, used Yahoo Search or Yahoo Email, or ever seen a display advertising on any of our Yahoo sites, the chances are that you have interacted with a product that has been shaped by the technology that has been developed by Yahoo Labs, and then they have gone on to work very closely with our product teams to help take that technology to the internet at scale. Our lab scientists are constantly inventing new ideas. They interpret them in Yahoo's context. They scale them up, and they implement them for real-world use. So this is not, while they're engaged in extremely deep research at a very fundamental level, they also have done an excellent job of working with our product teams to actually productize that research and take it to customers at scale the world over. In the years to come, I foresee a rising demand from the industry for young minds rigorously trained in and passionate about working on complex issues like semantic search, machine learning, and information retrieval. We're trying to extend the intellectual community at Yahoo to create an even larger research community with such programs. So this is a great opportunity for all of you to come together as a group and really learn from each other. So make the most of this week. As I mentioned earlier, be sure to spend time networking with each other, exchanging ideas, and collaborating with each other throughout this week. With that, now I would like to call upon Ron Brockman, the head of Yahoo Labs, to talk more about the kind of work that's happening at Yahoo Labs, and also introduce our star lineup of speakers for the rest of this week. Ron unfortunately couldn't make it in person due to some last-minute commitments, but I believe we have a video that we're going to play now. So without further ado, I would like to have us cue up the video, please. Thank you very much.
Hari, thank you very much. And good morning, everyone. I'm thrilled to be here with you this morning, at least for a few moments, to welcome you to what I hope will be a fantastic and truly educational experience. Welcome to this year's summer school. I'm particularly excited about the summer school this year since my own technical background is in the formal representation of knowledge, which is the underpinning of semantic search and many of the other topics you'll learn about during your time with us this week. All of our summer schools and Big Thinkers Distinguished Speaker Talks in Bangalore have been pretty exciting, but this one is particularly near and dear to my heart. I only wish that I could have been there in person with you to share the experience. There's lots that I can say about the subject matter of the summer school, but my role here with you today is really mainly to provide a bit of the context on who we are and how Yahoo Labs is continuing to play an essential role in our industry. Before I do that, I do want to mention two quick things about knowledge representation and artificial intelligence. First, you should know that a number of the concepts that we covered this week have been maturing in the field over a very long period of time. There's a rich literature on related subjects that I invite you to explore, but there's one important caveat. A number of the most crucial elements of the thinking about semantic representation were developed before the invention of the World Wide Web. This means that to truly explore this space, you probably should seek out some key articles and books that are not available online. You may not even find them referenced in DBLP or other online sources, but I urge you most strongly to go beyond the web and find these seminal papers. This is somewhat ironic, I guess, coming from us at one of the world's leading web companies, but it's a very important point. If you have a hard time finding some of these older references, please let us know and we can point you to some of them. Second, the areas to be covered here have very strong formal logical underpinnings. It's not likely that we'll be able to provide a complete foundation here in only a week to give you an understanding deep enough to invent new ideas that are on solid logical ground. But it is important to remember that ideas related to so-called semantic representation really need a rock-solid logical and mathematical foundation. There's much discussion of this in the literature, and if you find it interesting, you can conceivably look at some of my own admittedly prehistoric papers on concept structures, links, and the like, along with those of Bill Woods, Pat Hayes, and many, many others. But the important thing to remember is that just because we put a natural language name on a data structure, especially in a diagram on the whiteboard, we cannot assume that a machine will be able to interpret the meaning of that structure the way a human would. And semantics is exactly about meaning. So as you go forward in this area, please remember to make sure that your structures are logically well-founded and that your axioms for explaining their meaning are unambiguous and exactly implemented by your algorithm. Okay, enough preaching for now. Let's talk for a moment about Yahoo Labs, a worldwide organization that I am deeply proud and quite humbled to be able to lead. As Hari mentioned, Yahoo Labs is truly the center of scientific excellence for Yahoo. As such, we play a really key role in Yahoo's business. Unlike many industrial research labs, we feel we're uniquely positioned to further Yahoo's interest by working very closely with our internal partners. In fact, our track record of impacting Yahoo's products and services is almost unprecedented, especially given that we are not a huge organization. Our work has actually been deployed across almost all of our product lines and has touched literally hundreds of millions of people worldwide. As an organization, we're constantly innovating, continuing to enhance the overall experience for our end users, but basing what we do on a solid scientific and mathematical foundation. As you may have heard, this is a particularly exciting time to be part of Yahoo. There's a renewed focus on our users and the quality of their experiences with our products, tremendous positive energy among our employees, and a great sense of momentum internally. We are totally invigorated by the future, and Yahoo Labs is right in the middle of the most important new product developments. For example, in personalization, an absolute key to Yahoo's future, advertising, and search. Yahoo Labs hires scientists and research engineers, and together they collaborate with Yahoo's product organizations and engineering to provide scientific insight and launch novel features, all the while continue to work on fundamental and applied scientific leadership through published research and new technologies that will eventually power the company's future products. We cover almost the entire research spectrum, from what's been called use-inspired basic research, all the way to applied science done shoulder to shoulder with our engineering teams. Yahoo Labs' collective expertise is really very broad. We cover key areas of computer science like algorithms, machine learning, information retrieval and search, natural language processing, human-computer interaction, distributed and parallel systems, multimedia technology, and web and data mining. And we look into related areas like microeconomics, marketing science, and social media. We're also active and growing in new and emerging areas that are relevant to Yahoo, such as mobile experiences, user engagement measurement, big data, and statistical data analysis, amongst many others. Our labs teams work in a wide variety of problem domains as well, like search, advertising, personalization, as I mentioned, recommendation, big data and analytics, content understanding, social media, computational advertising, and others. We believe that the focus of the current summer school in semantic search, which seeks to improve search accuracy by understanding the searcher's intent and contextual meaning of the term search, has much wider ramifications well beyond search, extending across many of the products that we and other companies build. The summer school will go in depth into the hottest topics in this space, and it will also give you insights into how our labs and product teams at Yahoo are collaborating to push the scientific and technical envelope. I'm confident that the talks you hear this week will help you gain unique perspectives on how search technology is going to evolve, and as a bonus, you'll see how Yahoo is working at the very cutting edge of this space. As always, Yahoo Summer School comes with an all-star lineup of speakers. Well-respected researchers and scientists from our Yahoo Labs team, worldwide in fact, and external researchers are sitting amongst you right now, raring to go, to get up in front of you and to teach, to interact with you, and even to learn from you. You have the opportunity to learn about the very latest in the field of semantic search from these folks, so please do make the most of your time here. Part of the event, of course, is an opportunity to network, and I would encourage you all strongly to interact freely, get to know each other, spend time with the speakers, and ask lots of great questions. And now, I'd like to turn the podium over to Peter Mika, who will give you a more detailed overview of the summer school. Have fun this week, learn a lot, and thank you very much.
Is this working? More or less, okay. So my name is Peter Mika. I'm Senior Research Scientist at Yahoo Labs in Barcelona. And I really have very little to add to what Ron just said. I've been responsible for the program of this summer school, so I just wanted to say a few words about the program that is ahead of us. So next slide, please. There's a clicker, excellent. All right, so this is actually not the first school that we're organizing, but it's in the tradition of the summer schools that take place here in Bangalore. It started with the machine learning summer school in 2010, moving on to information retrieval and multimedia last winter. This summer school, however, is unique. It's unique even among the summer schools that take place elsewhere in the world, in that it combines information retrieval and the semantic web in what is now known as semantic search. This is a very exciting field to be. You will hear a lot on these topics, and hopefully you can apply it in your projects as well as further your learning and advancement in education. We welcome your questions and feedback. We have at least two ways to reach us. One is Twitter, so you can tweet to us, and we will try to monitor that, hashtag Yahoo Summer School, as well as our Facebook page, Yahoo Summer School 2013. Also, I wanted to say a big thank you to everyone who has come, to all of you, to my colleagues at Yahoo Labs and across Yahoo locations around the world. In particular, I invited speakers from Sunnyvale, from the US, from Barcelona, in Spain, and from Bangalore. So all of you contributed to the program. And last but not least, I wanted to thank the local organizers, in particular the team of Muthuswamy Chalaya, who has put together all of the local organization for this event. So I wanted to give them a round of applause. All right, next slide, please. Oh, I have the clicker. That's good. All right, so the program. So today we're going to hear about two foundational topics. Semantic web, starting with our invited speaker, Tom Heath, and information retrieval from our colleague in Barcelona, Roy Blanco. Tomorrow, we're moving on to the combination of these things. And I'll say a few words about semantic search in the morning, followed by a deeper look at entity linking and entity retrieval by my colleague Edgar May, also from Barcelona. On Thursday, we're going to hear about machine learning, and in particular machine learning for information retrieval, which, as you might know, is really at the core of how search engines really work today and how they rank documents and other types of objects. This is going to be presented by Yi Chang from our Sunnyvale Research Labs. Then we're going to move on to another detailed look at RDF knowledge bases. So RDF being the technology in the semantic web to describe data and to manage data. This is going to be presented by Maya Ramanat from Delhi, coming to us. Then we're going to have a plenary panel with all the speakers, so I'm very much looking forward to it and have an exchange with our colleagues, as well as with you, the audience. So as you go through the talks, please think of questions that you might want to ask to a panel of speakers. On Friday, we're going to have Ganesh Ramakrishnan from Mumbai, IIT Mumbai, talking about scaling up entity extraction and search over entities and relations. So again, this is another detailed perspective on semantic search. This is going to be followed by a sort of a mixed program where we're going to give you some of the business problems that we're working on. Harry already mentioned that Yahoo Labs is working in close collaboration with all kinds of parts of the business, working on products that people use every day. In fact, as of last week, we probably crossed the 1 billion user mark with the acquisition of Tumblr. So you're going to see how these products are impacting the lives of at least 1 billion people on the planet. And then we're going to close with the research student colloquium on Friday. Saturday, we're going to hear about evaluation in information retrieval from my colleague George Dupre from our Sunnyvale lab, and we'll close with a Yahoo Labs India showcase. So that's a very, very rich program. I hope you can stay and hear all of that because there are really interesting topics all along the week. All right. So with that, the only thing that is left for me is to introduce our keynote speaker today, Tom Heath. Tom has a PhD in computer science from the Open University, from the Knowledge Media Institute in the UK. He really entered the semantic web field as a superstar from the get-go. He got the first prize at the Semantic Web Challenge in 2007, as well as a STI International PhD Student Prize for his work in 2008, 2009. After his PhD, he joined Thales, which has been one of the leading institutes in applying semantic technologies in the library space, in the digital library space, where he stayed for quite a while, but recently he moved on and started a new and very exciting role, and this is what he's going to tell us about, I think, in more detail, working as a data scientist at a newly set up institute in the United Kingdom called the Open Data Institute, or ODI for short. Tom is a passionate advocate of linked data, besides his job, I would say, often. He is a key organizer of all kinds of linked data related events. So if you ever heard of the linked data workshops, he is one of the main instigators of that, as well as an author of a fairly recent book on linked data, which I suggest that all of you read in some form. There's certainly a free HTML version of it online, as well as a printed version from Morgan & Claypool publishers. And in Tom's own words, nothing beats the tangible satisfaction of hands-on data crunching. So he's a practical guy, and you will no doubt see that in his talk. So Tom, with that, I'd like to give the floor. Thanks.
Okay. If I just use this mic, can everybody hear me? Could someone at the back raise your hand if you can hear me okay? Okay, okay, 3, that's good enough. So as Peter said, I'm a practical kind of guy, and I also like to ensure that everything that I learn is done, is kind of placed within its historical context. I think in Ron Brackman's opening video, he was very clear about the fact that much of what we're going to learn this week around semantic search has its origins in fields which stretch back beyond the invention of the web. And what I want to do today is really lay the foundations for the rest of the week's talks and discussions by giving you a kind of historical context to the deployment and usage of data on the web. So one thing I'll add, well, I'm going to start by giving a brief introduction about the Open Data Institute, and so you understand a bit more of my context. I'm going to talk about the history of data on the web through the 90s and the early 2000s, so that you can really understand where the origin of where we've got to today in publishing data on the web and using this in applications like semantic search. I'm going to talk about open data specifically because I think it's really important to understand why there are certain restrictions or lack of restrictions around using data on the web, and how, as we see the wider deployment of data on the web, why we need to wrap certain kind of legal frameworks around this so that the builders of products have certain kind of clarity about the way that they can use data, which is something that hasn't really happened to date. So I want to emphasize that point today. I'm going to then talk about how we actually use the web infrastructure and the RDF data model to tie together different fragments of data published in different places on the web. And then I'll talk a bit more about some future research directions that I see. So just to tell you about the Open Data Institute, as Peter said, this is a newly founded institute. It was founded it was announced in 2011 by the UK government, and then founded practically in 2012 by Tim Berners-Lee and Nigel Shadbolt. So I assume that Tim Berners-Lee needs no introduction. Nigel Shadbolt is a professor of artificial intelligence or computer science, I can't remember which. I think of AI at Southampton University, and a significant player for a number of years in the semantic web field. The ODI is a non-profit, non-partisan company, which means we have no political affiliations. We can't take any commercial stakes in startup companies. But we do a lot of work to incubate startups working with open data in London and elsewhere. The Institute is dedicated to unlocking the supply of open data, helping people understand how they can use that, and therefore really unlocking the demand for open data and communicating the value of doing this to the business community, to the public sector, and to broader society. Our headquarters are in what's known as Tech City in East London. So this is an aerial view of part of East London. That's east that way, north that way. And this square here is actually a roundabout. This is a square roundabout, known as Silicon Roundabout. It's the heart of the tech scene it's certainly the heart of the startup tech scene in London and the UK and possibly even Europe. It competes a lot with Berlin and Paris, I think, for the title of the tech capital of Europe. And I don't know if you can see from the back, but each of these little pins in the map is the location of a different startup company. I think this is 2010, this map. And the ODI is just over here. So we're really at the heart of a really vibrant scene of companies that are using data and operating in the context of the web as a whole. We have an ethos in the ODI of doing everything that we can in the open. We have no excuse for not doing it, but we really try and hold ourselves to account by doing everything that we possibly can to expose and publicly share everything that goes on within the Institute. From a technical point of view, we have a bunch of technical principles that we adhere to, which is around reusing as much open source software as possible, reinventing as little as possible, and sharing as much of what we do with people in the broader community. So we have These slides are online, so you can follow the links afterwards if you're interested to see, but we have an online dashboard that shows a lot of stuff about our Twitter activity, our GitHub activity, presence in IRC, that sort of thing. We do everything on GitHub that we possibly can. So all our code is open source. We don't pay for GitHub access because all our repositories are open. So sometimes we ask ourselves, should we do something that's closed? Should we do this piece of software development as closed source? And every time we say that, then we say, well, we'd have to start paying for GitHub then. And that's a reminder of the fact that we shouldn't be doing this stuff in a closed way. We should be doing this in an open fashion. So this has some great advantages. It's a typical open source software development scenario where people can spot bugs in our software, people can contribute to the projects we're working on, and we find that dialogue really, really powerful. If you follow the Pinboard link here, then you'll find a list of everything that everyone in the ODI is actually bookmarking, and that's public. You can sign up to a Twitter bot that tells you about stuff that we're following, so that we're bookmarking. So if you're interested in the field of open data in general, that's a great source of information. So why do I care about the web? It's kind of traditional, I think, in these cases to brag about how long I've been doing this sort of stuff and therefore try and demonstrate some credibility. And I've been doing this stuff for 15 years or so. And in this time, I've seen, from the very practical point of view and also from the more theoretical, how people are trying to use data on the web and trying to help the web fulfill its true potential by making it a space, a platform, not just for documents, but for data as well. So I see, in doing this, I've seen the problems and the limitations that we've had in trying to publish data on the web, and I think that as we try and develop the best practices in this area, then we can allow them.